What's up, college football fans and Mean Green fans? Sonoy Valente here once again with the Mean Green Show. And today I'm joined by the one, the only, the original JD. And we're not talking Jalen Darden, the North Texas Eagle. JD, thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate your time. And guys, before we get into all of JD's schematics and the evil genius that he is, you guys already know the drill. If you're a fan of college football recruiting, G5 football, transfer portal, any of the above, consider hitting that like and subscribe button because that is really all that we talk about here. So, JD, how are you doing this offseason, man? I know we've talked about you coming on for quite some time now. I'm so glad we finally got it done. But how's offseason treating you?
Man, it's great. First of all, thanks for having me, man. I love what you're doing with the show. Every time I get a chance, I listen to your uploads. I listened to the Tommy Bush interview. I think that was an awesome interview, really insightful. So you're killing it. But for me, I'm just like the rest of the fans. I've got my little countdown to opening day and opening kickoff. I'm ready. It seems like it gets longer and longer each year, but I'm excited to have hopefully Apogee be packed. We've survived the pandemic and ready to get it started.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Same here. I feel like this season, I don't know what it is. Maybe it is due to the pandemic, but I feel like I'm way more antsy or anxious to get this season started than I have been in the past. And, it probably has a credit to do it with a lot of things that we'll dive into here shortly. But yeah, speaking on Tommy Bush, he brings a lot of hype, man. He was really, really fun to talk to and, talk to a little bit off camera and just a lot of excitement there. So yeah, Tommy's a big time pickup for us in the portal. So kind of jumping down, let's kind of kick things off here with this 21 class. And before we even get into this 21 class, though, if you tell as much as you want to tell to the people, but it doesn't seem to be any secret that what's going to happen before it happens. And how do you where does that come from? Is that the UNT dark web? How do you know this stuff before it seems to even happen?
Lucky guesses. No,
yeah. Okay.
I mean, I can't, credit to one source or anything. I mean, like I said, it's just a couple years of building connections and stuff. And like I said, I don't claim or want to, claim that I know any more than the next guy. Like I said, I can just credit it all to connections, made throughout my time at UNT and after UNT and stuff, and just, try to stay connected as much as possible,
Yeah,
some breaking news has came from, text message. Some breaking news has just come from, digging, going down a dart. So, I don't know, just a lot of research or whatever. And the next thing you're like, oh crap, we're about to get this guy committed or whatever. They all come from different angles, but.
Yeah, I remember one, you do two good jobs. One at keeping your ear to the ground and finding out all this information. And two, you do a great job of keeping this information secret. You definitely keep the cards close to the vest. I remember whenever one of our receivers in this 21 class decommitted, I messaged you and I was like, man, what are we going to do? And you just pretty calm, cool, and collective. You just simply responded with, wide receiver is not a position that I'm worried about. And lo and behold, Caleb Johnson signs. And then again with the transfers, I remember I was, just messaging you, was like, hey, what about this transfer? We should go get, whatever. And you said, the guy that I think we're going to get is, more accurate. And just, I feel better with the guy that I think we're going to get. And then Jace Reuter signed. So it's just kind of, I don't know how you do it. And I don't know how you keep it as well kept of a secret as you do. But, we appreciate what you do, man. Yeah. It's quite entertaining.
I would say that's probably the hardest part of the deal is if you do know something's coming up, have to keep it intact because you see, other fans are going scorched earth on whether it's Twitter or it's the board, and they're just, the world's falling, and you're just kind of like, keep calm. But at the same time, for every Jace Reuter, there's another guy that I think that we've got in our back pocket, and the next thing he announces he's going somewhere else. So It goes both ways, but I would say that's the hardest part is when the sky's falling to be able to keep your mouth shut because I don't want to burn any bridge, so I don't release stuff until I get the green light. But.
Right. Well, that's awesome, man. Well, kind of jumping into this 21 class that I mean, I don't feel like anybody knows the answer to this. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But do you happen to know? Do we have any more scholarships left with this 21 class?
Last time I checked, we brought in several transfers here in the last few weeks. We got one left is what I'm hearing.
We got one left. Okay.
And I know that's pretty, fluid. We can, they can manipulate that to, be 6 if they need to, but
Right.
there's one, for sure. But that's all I've got so far.
Right.
Like I said,
We've snuck in a few transfers here, and I don't want to say they're not big names. I mean that for lack of a better term, but we've slid in a few just kind of like, oh, okay, we're just kind of keep adding, a lot of DBs and I think 3 DBs here, pretty recently. But anyway, okay, so gearing into this 21 class, want to highlight a few names and I mean, are you as excited as pretty much the whole entire UNT fan base is of this 20 or about this 21 class?
absolutely. I mean, it's, we can talk about Seth's tenure, but every recruiting class since he hired Luke, which I think is one of the biggest signings he's had up to date. I mean, the classes just get better and better and better and better. And I mean, we can go back and look at, Seth's first class, and yeah, we had, Bussy, we had Fine. I mean, there was some good players, but it seems like every year, the classes get deeper and deeper. I mean, there's kids that you see, and, I'm not saying I'm a genius or anything, but you see kids that you're like, I don't know what they see, and they usually don't pan out. But every year it seems like there's fewer and fewer kids. I mean, there's from top to bottom. And, I was really impressed this year. We went heavy on the defensive side of the ball and added some, I think, much needed depth to that side.
Absolutely. Okay. So, speaking of, specifics in this class, and we won't go over every single one just because for time reasons, but everybody's talented in this 21 class. But just to highlight a few here, Caleb Johnson. So if you had to guess, and I'm in the mindset of whatever you do your true freshman year in college is kind of icing on the cake, but do you think Caleb redshirts, or do you think he cracks a significant amount of playing time at the wide receiver position?
It's so hard, especially, I mean, nothing against him, but that the wide receiver position is so deep. And I mean, just in this class in general, I mean, you're bringing in Bryson Jackson and Tommy Bush, both former 4-star, 5-star / guys. It's hard for a true freshman to come in and play right away. I think that the 4-game, redshirt rule will help him out. I think he'll see the field. I think we'll see him. But I think if we just see him 4 games, it's not, I'm not going to say, bust or, be screaming from, I mean, I think that I mean, we lost a draft pick in Jalen Darden, but I think there's still a ton of talent at that position.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. Do you have any, I mean, so, I'm not trying to put too much weight on Caleb's shoulders, but he did flip from OU and, granted he was, to my knowledge, was geared to go to OU as a DB, and he wanted to play wide receiver. I don't know if you can confirm that with your knowledge as well. But I want him to be so successful for us because I want it to be like a trend. That's the fan in me, but so I'm really hoping that, by year 2 or 3 with him, he's electric and just lighting up, just being a real menace for Conference USA opponents. Shifting down here to Dylan Williams, one of our later pickups who wasn't even rated on 24/7. And do you happen to know any about this? But I think he was committed to Navarro. Maybe he qualified late or something. But once he got in, he's our second highest recruit, and people are just, his highlight film is impressive.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people talk about Caleb Johnson. I think he's a great player. I think he's going to play at North Texas. I think Dylan Williams has the potential to be the steal of the class. It was a late qualifier grades type deal, but he had some big schools, that were on him late. I mean, there was Texas was all on him. It wasn't just, North Texas just walked in there and said, you're our guy, and he had no other options. I mean, there was people sniffing around, but this was 100%, Bennett, new defense coordinator Bennett and, Gush, this was their East Texas connections that, hey, we got this guy, and and I think that, COVID, it was grades, but it was also COVID. I mean, East Texas, there's a lot of players that go unnoticed. And I think we just lucked out, and he was one of them. I think if he was playing in, a San Antonio, a Houston, DFW area, could be a 4 or 5-star kid and multiple Power 5 offers. But I think this was just one of those deals that, we look back in a couple of years and, you look at his 24/7 profile and you're like, how did that guy not have 20 offers, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, man. He was a great surprise. And going down to Varkey's Gums, he was at the time when he signed, he was our highest rated guy. And I remember whenever we got him, oh man, that was so exciting. And my fear was, is he going to stick through with it, with the verbal? I was so scared we were going to lose him. But man, I saw him from afar at the spring game, and just seeing him, he posts pictures of even in basketball. He just looks like a different type of athlete. He looks kind of like a Dez Bryant. I mean, just the way he's built, like he's put together, he's just a freak, man. And what are your thoughts on Varkey's?
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy that I'm excited to see in Seth's offense. I mean, he can play, multiple positions. Like you mentioned, he was a freak athlete in basketball. I mean, I was having people send me stuff. He was getting double doubles in the playoffs. I mean,
wow,
it was really close to him not being able to sign because, I mean, they went deep in the football playoffs as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that the coach didn't want him to. And I mean, his recruiting was not dead. And I think if it would have rolled in the spring, I mean, we'd have even more competition. So,
yeah,
I mean, he was not a guy that, offers dried up in North Texas as last result. I mean, he was a resort. I mean, he had options, and I think that he's got the potential to, play multiple positions at North Texas and really, be a freak.
Yeah, same. Very excited about him. And we won't go through every name, but I want to touch on another one. That is Gabe Blair. Coming out of Denton Guy, or a very highly rated offense. I think he's going to play guard for us. I think maybe center. Interior though. I mean, I'm assuming. But he had the USC offer, and he ultimately came to us. But a two-sided question. One, how do you feel about Gabe and all that? And two is, are you hopeful? Could you see this in an uptick trend? And we'll get back, and we'll touch on this more a little bit later with the 22 guys, but in us getting more Denton guys specifically. And I always harp on, as far as Conference USA goes, that we should be top dogs with FAU really every year with recruiting and just players, because the Metroplex, Dallas, Fort Worth, Denton area is just so fertile. And I hate the fact that we lose guys occasionally to La Tech or UAB and, whatever. But not even talking about the Metroplex, Denton itself is so rich and so fertile. Just a small town of Denton with those 3 high schools that, I mean, do you think we're going to see an uptick in Denton kids hopefully choosing UNT over, other schools?
Yeah, and that's, I mean, like I said, ever since I started covering, it's always been, I'm like, why are we not landing these kids? Why are we not? And I think that it boils down to, I mean, Denton and Tommy Bush in his interview today, talked about choosing us over San Antonio because he wanted to get away from home. Mm-hmm. And I think that, the Denton, it does have that small town feel. It does have that small town vibe. I mean, me being from East Texas, I mean, it does have that. I mean, I know it's not, the country or anything like that, but it does still have that small town feel. I think that kind of hurts North Texas. I don't think it's anything against North Texas or the school. I think a lot of those kids just see the opportunity to leave home. And like I said, I don't think it's Seth not recruiting the kids. I don't think it's, North Texas is not attractive. I think it has more to do with wanting to leave home and check it out. But at the same time, that a point that I've made, you see a lot of kids that transfer to Colorado's, they transfer to the Mississippis, and then, they're gone a year and they want to come back home. And that's where I think that I hope to see an uptick in that moving forward, because there's a lot of guys that go to those P5s that you wouldn't have, a chance otherwise, unless you were, in the portal when they're wanting to come back home and, homesick or whatever you could say.
Right. Yeah. So, okay. Kind of gearing down to our transfers. So we, as it sits right now, we have 10 transfers that's coming our way. That's the highest I think we've ever had. I mean, granted, everyone's probably going to get higher numbers because of the new rule, but that's exciting that we got 10. And just to highlight a few, I want to talk on Tommy Bush, Enoch Jackson, Jace Reuter, and Logan Wilson. Those are the ones that, I feel like there's a lot of excitement about. And so let's start off with Tommy Bush, big time wide receiver. I know, he was big time, coming out of high school. He went to Georgia and, through injury, this and the other, didn't see the field as much as you would think he would have at Georgia, and, decided to hit the portal, ultimately comes here. What are your what are you excited about with Tom? What do you realistically expect kind of year one from him in this office? Do you think he's going to come in and potentially be the number one guy with his physicality, or what are your thoughts on Tommy Bush?
I mean, I think he's an unbelievable talent. I mean, when he's coming out of high school, if you told me that 3 years from then he was going to be at North Texas, I would say get out of here. I thought he was one of the top 10 wide receivers in that class. His combination of speed and size is just unreal. I think that just my prediction. I mean, nothing. I haven't seen him play or anything, but I know when you go from not being in games, but he has been practicing against arguably the best defense in the country day in and day out. I think there is going to be a little curve the first few games, but kind of like you seen when Guyton came in. But I mean, that's where I think that we should I think that if he's the next Jalen Guyton, I think that's a home run. I mean,
Absolutely.
Stay healthy with his size, his speed, his combo. I mean, that should be a deadly combo in Conference USA.
His high school film is unreal. Like, he was taking like jet sweeps and at 6'5". So it's the athletic ability is there. And then another one coming from Arkansas, another SEC transfer, Enoch Jackson. His high school film and his practice film at Arkansas is just, dude, he's a monster, man. He is a monster of a defensive tackle. And that coming into, we have Deion Noville, and we're gonna have that other spot. Maybe Enoch, maybe not. We'll see who the other guy is, and then we'll have the Murphy brothers on both sides of the ends there. So, what are your thoughts on Enoch? I mean, are you thinking he's going to come in and compete for the starting job day one?
Well, I mean, they've built some depth there that we haven't had. I mean, it was no lie that when Reffitt was here, they didn't spend a lot of resources, scholarships on defensive line, but they've changed that pretty quickly. Watching his tape, I mean, I think he's something that we haven't had since probably 2013. I mean, he's a disruptor. I mean, he's not a guy that's going to sit there and eat 2 or 3 blocks. He's a guy that's getting past the offensive line, and he's causing disruption in the backfield. So I think pairing him with a Deion Noville, a guy that just eats blocks, I think he's got a chance to play early. I think we've got some young, talented defensive tackles in that room, but I mean, I think that I wouldn't be surprised if he makes the 2 deep week one. It's all a matter of how quick can he get here, how quick can he learn the defense, and but like I said, I would not be surprised if he does break the 2 deep like.
Yeah, I'm excited about him. Touching over on one more, Logan Wilson. I actually had the opportunity to watch him in high school live. My nephew's team played them, and he's not the highest rated transfer that we're getting, but I know from visuals, and I've heard, I think he may have broke some sort of record in the off season with a 20-yard dash or something, but he can fly, and very excited to see if he can crack into the defensive backs. As far as like the rotation or starting, I know we got a lot of them in the transfer portal. We have Upton, we got Gaddy. There's a lot of talent there, but really excited to see what he can contribute. Not only that, but on special teams. I know he did do some punt returns for K-State while he was there, and and that was when he was young too. So if if you're returning for the Big 12 at a young age, then I'm excited to see what he could potentially do here at UNT. And kind of gearing over to Jace Ruder, though, this is the big time question. Man, you got to hedge your bet right now. Who do you think our starting quarterback is going to be? Who do you think is going to be going into Northwestern? Who do you think is going to be going into SMU? I mean, I think it's a 2-man race here. But what are your thoughts on A, Jace Ruder, and B, this quarterback competition?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that it's a 2-man race. I had the privilege to go watch some spring practice, and I don't think it's no. I mean, Ani didn't light the world on fire in the spring, but I thought he played good last year. I think Jace, the the $1 million question is how quick can he get here? How quick can he learn the offense?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Seth's offense and the offense they're trying to run, like the Baylor Light type offense. I don't think it's super in depth. I mean, I think you can learn it pretty quick, but I think that's the main thing. I think he's got all the talent. But I would, if I had to, place my life savings, I would say it would definitely be one of those two guys going into week one. I'd say the smart money would probably be Ani, just because, I mean, he's got, 2 off seasons under his belt with the offense. I mean, he is the winner or he's the leader at the clubhouse right now, I guess you could say. But
yeah,
as we've learned
we'll
from Mason Fine and before that, I mean, the week 1 starter there's a chance it could be your starter week 2. So, like I said, I think that the best man will win out for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It's going to be exciting to see. So, just touching real quick on the 22 class. We only got 2 commits, which is a good start, and they're both highly rated. Vincent Page and Quayon Farrer out of Skyline. I mean, Quayon, he's blazing fast. Really, a lot of speed there. And Vincent Page, I'm surprised we got him. Whenever we got him pretty early. And now he's at Denton Geyer, and he seems to be pretty locked in. So, a lot of excitement there. But kind of gearing over to Seth Littrell. I mean, do you think this is a make or break year for him?
I think that, and I think that he's going to have to come out. I mean, I think if they come out and win 1 game, 2 games, 3 games, it's not in his favor. I think Seth is an unbelievable coach. I think that he's one of the top 5 offensive minds. I think if he gets fired from North Texas, he's probably the offensive coordinator, Oklahoma within 24 hours or, wherever. I think that he is super smart.
Right.
I think that Seth's downfall was, it took him a couple years to make the change at the recruiting coordinator position. It took him even longer to make the change at the defensive coordinator position. But I think with Bennett, with Walrus, I mean, and the staff, I think we're the best shape we've ever been. The cards are stacked against us as far as scheduling.
Yeah.
You look at our roster, and we've got 60% of our roster is freshmen. So I mean, it's a super young team, and I know the fans don't want to hear it, but my eyes and what I tell the guys on Going Green is I don't want to start over. I think that Seth's getting it figured out. He has learned on the job, but the chance you hire a new coach, he's going to have to learn too. I mean, they don't come in and win 10 games very often year 1.
Right.
So I'm pulling for him. I'm hoping. I know the coaching searches are fun. New coaches are exciting, but I think we're trending 100% in the right direction. So,
and Ren Baker and him seem to have such a great relationship. And Ren Baker, I mean, I don't think I've ever been a bigger fan of an athletic director at North Texas. I love what Ren's doing.
And it's hard to sit here and you look at Ren's hiring from Grant to the softball coach to, I mean, every coach he's hired has won a conference championship since he's been here. I mean, girls softball's killing it. Girls golf's killing it. Our girls soccer's obviously still killing it. So it's like, it's hard to sit here and say, don't fire Seth, because, I mean, we look back, Seth wasn't Ren's hire. He inherited him, but I think they've got along good.
Right.
I think, moving forward, that Seth's got to win and got to make a showing this year to keep his job. But like I said, I think the coaching staff, supporting staff is the best we've had since he's been here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm with you too, man. I'm a big fan of, what Seth is doing, Coach Latrell, and just the recruiting is just snowballed. We've had top 2 classes the last 2 years, and before Seth got here, that just wasn't the case. So I'm really hoping it comes together. And and I had Matthew Bruni on. He feels very strongly that he's got to win X amount of games to keep it. And he has a very great point. But as a personal preference, I want to kind of see, or I don't know, man. It's just kind of like, if it doesn't happen this year, can we give him 1 more year? But I don't know. That's just kind of because I don't want to start over. And and if we get a new coach, man, like it's got to be it's got to be somebody good. I want like a Gus Malzahn. I want like a Link. I want somebody like that to come in and do something crazy. But
And
But
I think that Ren will, I think that whoever he hires, it will be a blockbuster hire. I think it will be
yeah.
a great hire. But a part of me, covering recruiting was kind of pulling my hair,
Hmm.
watching the 21 class because me and the fans and the other people on the board. I mean, we all kind of knew it was. I mean, if it was me coaching, or if I was
Hmm.
in charge, I would probably went 20 transfers this year.
Yeah.
More of a win now.
Yeah.
But Seth, that's never been his. I mean, he's wanted to grow from high school kids, and he's
Right.
stayed to his guns. So
Right.
I'm pulling for him, but
Yeah.
like I said, I do think the cards are kind of stacked.
Yeah. Yeah. Same here. But I gotta say though, before the transfer portal really went off, and it seemed like all these quarterbacks were flying off the shelf, and it just seemed like, are we even getting in the mix on that? I was just kind of like, what the heck are we doing? And then we got Jace, and then we got some others like Tommy and Enoch and all that stuff. I must say I'm very glad to see he made the moves in the transfer portal that he did with the names that we've mentioned earlier. He definitely, it seems like he's doing everything he can, and again, right there with you, I'm rooting for him as well. Kind
And
of focus.
there's some guys going back to the transfer portal that I reached out and asked, you see this kid go off the board, or this kid doesn't have an offer, and you're like, why are we not going after this kid? Why are
Yeah.
we not? And then you could reach out about a quarterback and they're like, he's got accuracy
Yeah.
issues. You see a 6'4" defensive end, you're like,
Come
hey, there's a
on.
reason
Yeah.
he has no offers, or stuff like that. So
Yeah.
there is, I mean, I know as a fan, and even me, I'm not gonna lie, I see these kids, I'm like, oh, why don't we go after this kid?
Yeah.
There's usually reasons. I mean, they're doing a lot more research than we have,
Right. Right.
but
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So shifting over to the schedule a little bit, I got it pulled up, and I'll just kind of read the first few of it off. So we got Northwestern State, then we have SMU at SMU, then UAB comes to Denton, then we go to Louisiana Tech, then we go to Missouri, then Marshall comes here, then Liberty comes here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The first 7 games, again, it's Northwestern State, SMU, UAB, La Tech, Missouri, Marshall, Liberty. Our first 7. Dude, I mean, out of those 7, I mean, I know we're going to beat Northwestern, God willing, and everything, but man, the rest of those 6, what do you think we can come out with?
I mean, I hate to say it, murderer's row, but I mean, that's not an easy schedule. I mean,
No.
you could just as easily see, be 1-6 after those 7 games.
Sure.
I hope that we beat Liberty before at Liberty.
They were ranked like 13th last year.
Yeah, no, I mean they're much improved. We kind of after that
are.
game, we kind of went the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Louisiana Tech, Alabama, UAB. I mean, it's neither one of those teams have blown us out. I know we lost to Louisiana, but I mean more times than not, those have been close games. So I mean, those are kind of
still one from them. Okay, so let's say beat Northwestern State. Let's be conservative here. How about that? Like, okay, let's say this is not the year we beat SMU at SMU, so we're 1-1. Then we go to UAB and La Tech. Do you think we can steal one of those?
Yeah,
I want to call it a steal, but you think we can? You think we could come out with 1 win out of UAB and La Tech?
Yeah, I mean, if I had to put, now I think UAB at home, I think we got a better chance than at Louisiana Tech against at Ruston.
And who knows? We beat UAB at home, the back-to-back conference USA champs, right? They won 19 and 20.
Yeah, and I think if you're 2-2 after those games, I think Seth's got a very good shot to keep his job. Yeah, I mean, I think that you're setting yourself up to have a chance.
Or if we can go into that La Tech game, granted it is at La Tech, with our only loss being to SMU and coming off of a UAB win, maybe we go rock the house in Ruston. So
yeah.
But okay, so let's say conservatively now, we beat Northwestern State, SMU takes the win there. We beat UAB, we lose, so we're 2-2 now. Okay, this is kind of conservative, whatever.
Yeah.
Then we go to Missouri, probably going to go down to 2-3. Marshall comes to town. Dude, you think we're at 2-3 now, given that scenario that we just kind of talked over? You think we can knock Marshall off in Denton?
I mean, I think Marshall is they've got a new coach. I mean, so you never know, new coach. I mean, they may go one of different ways. I know it's Friday night here. Crazy things happen on Friday night games.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I probably like our chances better against Marshall than UAB. So I mean, I think that's definitely doable. I wouldn't chalk that up as a loss. They were super good last year, but if you look, towards the end of the year, they kind of went the other direction. So,
okay, so that would put us at 3-3 then, right? Mm-hmm. Where we're at, I think. So then Liberty comes, and is that 3-3? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 3-3. Then Liberty comes. Maybe we say Liberty takes it out of Marshall and Liberty. We win one. You think? Okay, there we go. I would
say that.
Okay, so that would put us going into Rice at 3-4. Hopefully I'm doing my math right. I'm kind of doing this on the fly. So that would put us at Rice at 3-4, and then at Southern Miss, then UTEP, FIU, then UTSA. So out of Rice, Southern Miss, UTEP, and FIU, man, if we could win 3 of those 4 games, you know what I mean? That would be nice. That would be nice. That would put us at what, 6-5? Going into UTSA for a big showdown in the Astrodome, right?
Yeah.
So you think realistically 6-6, maybe 7-5 this year?
Yeah, I think if they win 6 games and they make a bowl game, they win 6 games, make a bowl game. If Seth goes and gets destroyed in the bowl game, which I mean he's due for a win, but we've got some horrible matchups in our bowl games, not to make excuses.
Man.
But yeah, if he wins 6 games, I think we make a bowl game. I think his job's safe. But yeah, I think that he has to figure out a way. And like I said, it's not the best schedule he's had, but if we can figure out a way to win 6 games, I think his job's safe. And then you're bringing virtually the whole team back next year.
Yeah, still a very young team, very young.
Still, exactly, it's extremely young. So I mean, if it's Seth or if it's another coach next year, they're going to inherit a lot better team than Seth inherited 6 years ago. I mean, we're in a completely different ballpark realm, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's just it's night and day from where we were. So, I think that. We can sit here and look at the schedule and we can say, 1-11. We could say, 8 wins, but because there's so many toss-up games. But, I would say if I was betting six games is where I would put the hope, wish, and think.
I just hope when we get to Rice, we have momentum. I hope we were just not like gassed and burnt. You know what I mean? Because I mean, Southern Miss is coming up. So is Rice. Don't get me wrong. I mean, not that both of those teams are, but it's just like those are for sure. Like if we could play our A games, going into that Rice stretch, and afterwards, we could 1, 2, 3. I mean, we could do some damage. We could maybe get 4 consecutive wins if we, played lights out.
And it doesn't matter if we were, conference champions or we were last place. Rice, UTEP, UTSA. It seems like the records don't matter when it comes to those 3 games. It's just you throw the records out and just get out on the field, and it's usually ugly. Yeah,
no joke, man. You nailed it. Well, all right, JD, man. Once again, I really appreciate you coming on. I'll let you get back to, keeping your feelers out for that 22 class. And I know you're a busy guy with that and the cows and everything. But once again, man, thanks so much for coming on. Look forward to having you on again.
Absolutely. Give me a call whenever. I'm excited to jump on and talk North Texas football.
Absolutely. Go Mean Green.
Go Mean Green.